back crimpy, getting it ready.
Yeah.
So recording's nice too sometimes. Like I do my own recordings because why not? So it's kind of nice. You can hit pause, repeat. You can fast forward if I'm talking too much, which is often. All right, so welcome, final night. This is so exciting. We're gonna do a recovery session today. I've labeled it the sweeping recovery, but it's just overall. Similar props that you're gonna need. Let me just get one more thing.
Uh-oh. I got no props.
No, it's okay. So if you have no props, you can literally do everything without it. So you'll just use, I mean, I'm gonna use this Pilates ball. These are 14 bucks. You can deflate them, put them back up. They kind of act as a roller sometimes. And I like to use them when I'm trying to like push ribs in certain places. If you don't have one of these though, just taking a throw pillow or a towel or a sweater when we do the side lying exercises is going to be the exact same thing. And then all the other props are just more for comfort. So that would be the only thing. Again, this is like $14.99 on Amazon. They're called Pilates balls. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to use blocks, but again, if you don't have blocks, they're not going to be mandatory. You're still going to be able to get into a pretty good position, okay? So let me bring this down. So we're going to start lying on our side. This is a side breathing exercise. So if all else, you're lying on one side, feeling supported and breathing. So the beautiful part about some recovery sessions is that if you're breathing, you're winning, like you're doing what you need to. So if you want, you can roll a pillow up there, a towel. I'm going to use my very expensive Amazon purchase. So it's gonna go, if you imagine where a bra strap goes, when I'm lying on the left side, it's going to go kind of below the bra strap. So still on the bottom ribs. So if you put towel under there, then still below the bottom ribs, right? So I'm gonna lie down. I'm just using the block to support my head. And I'm going to bend my knees and then straighten the bottom leg. So you don't need the roller. You can see how the leg could just kind of roll forward, push forward. A block works, another pillow works. I like to use the roller so I can feel that I'm rolling that hip forward. And then this right hand, because we're lying on our left side, typically we need to open up this right chest wall. So we'll do hands on the hips. And try to breathe into the right chest wall. So we're looking for 5 to 10 breaths here. Maybe you've already done 3 or 4. And if you're finding it hard to find those side ribs, we're trying to breathe away from the ball. If you're finding it hard to feel those, I want you to put your hand there and you're going to breathe in thirds. So one full breath will happen by taking a little bit of air in, pausing, little bit of air in, pausing, little bit of air in, pausing, and then just letting yourself empty. And if it feels more comfortable, this right hand can reach forward. That's fine too. Okay, so however you'd like to breathe, if you're doing what's called waterfall breathing, we go in, and then just like deflate. Mouth open, mouth closed, whatever you need to. We want to make sure that head's supported. You're emptying of air. Okay. Okay, if you hate the ball underneath you or the towel, like you can just lie on your side. This is going to be just as beneficial because often we don't really get to expand into those side ribs very easily. Okay, so the second part, because we will do this on the left, but the second part is adding in a windmill. So again, if you don't have any props, don't worry. It's the exact same thing. You can always use your arm as a support. You're going to take that top arm and it's going to reach forward as far as possible, letting that shoulder blade leave the spine. And then you're going to draw a really big circle up and over your head and look back at the hand as you open up the chest. So you're still trying to keep that hip, that top hip rolling forward. So you're getting a good stretch in the chest down to the hip, and then reach forward again. Let that shoulder blade separate. So you're getting a chance to open the chest. So do 3 to 5 each direction. Okay, so we can do this both directions. Follow the hand with the gaze. And if you're someone that's got maybe a shoulder injury, you're going to do what's more like thread the needle, like a bow and arrow. So you reach forward, pull back, reach forward. A little less stress on the shoulders. Okay, so we're going to flip over. Now we're going to lie on the right side. So left side, as a review, is below the bra strap. Right side is a little higher up. So higher up, it depends on how big you are. I'm not a very tall person, despite what people think. So get it a little bit closer to the armpit, but not in the armpit. Exact same setup, except for that. So lying on my side. Okay, support the head somehow. Okay, and then this time I am going to reach that left arm forward unless you've been told you need to open up that chest. Okay, and you can breathe however you like. The hip reaches forward. So straight, if you think of my body as like the up and down line, we want to go horizontal to that. So we want to reach forward for the breathing first, and you're trying to send the breath back into the rib cage. So about 5 to 10 breaths. This is my all-time favorite exercise. Like, I like prop myself up in bed when I'm scrolling. And we can do that same waterfall breathing if you want to. So breathe in, pause, breathe in, pause, breathe in, and then empty. Okay, so a couple more like that. You're reaching the fingertips and trying to really fill up that rib cage. Let the shoulder blades separate from the spine. Okay, we spend so much of our day trying to pinch the shoulder blades together. And in reality, that's not the optimal resting space. We need them to kind of nuzzle up against our rib cage. So then from there, keeping that hip forward, reach forward, big circle overhead. Follow the hand with your eyes down to the hip. Big reach, big circles, 3 to 5 on each side. Sorry, in each direction. Good, and again, if you need to, you can do what I call the bow and arrow. So you could just open and reach and open. You don't need to actually get a big full reach back. Awesome. Hey, when you're done with that, we're gonna put the props aside for a moment. We'll come back to the block. We won't use the towel for anything. What we're gonna do next is called an A stretch, because I think you kind of look like an A. I don't know, I don't really see it. So we're gonna get into a tabletop position. Okay, and you're gonna take your right hand to your ear and reach your right elbow up to open your chest to the right. So left hand is active. Remember to push down, open up the chest. Okay, if you'd like, you can reach the right hand to the sky so that the left hand's pushing down, the right hand's reaching up. And then take that right hand and thread it underneath the left so that the right shoulder and ear come to the ground. Move back a bit. I'll show you from different angles. And then your left hand is going to reach forward, but it's not going to be straight. And it's going to push the hips back. And I'm going to use my feet and try to kind of wedge my body into the ground. So that whole left side is going to feel like it's getting a bit of a stretch. Let me show you just from the side. If you've got it, you don't have to watch. Okay, so I reach, I go under, and then I push. So you're trying to breathe into that left side. You might even feel a little bit of a stretch. Yep, yep, yep. Good. So right ear, yep, and right deltoid are on the ground. Good. The left hand is kind of pushing you back. The hips are pushing you forward. You're like a cartoon character that has crashed into the ground. And breathe into the back. Okay, good. One more. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I bring my left hand underneath kind of my shoulder to push me back up. And then we're gonna go right hand is stable, left hand to the ear, open the chest to the left. Okay, we're holding this. Maybe you reach the left hand up. So right hand is down, left fingertips or elbow are reaching. And then take the left hand and thread it underneath the right. Left ear and shoulder on the ground. Right hand walks forward to push the hips back. And then your hips are kind of wedging that shoulder into the ground. You're getting a nice big stretch into that right side. Looking good so far. Yeah, so you're getting that whole right side stretch. So again, we're getting to stretch from the inside, not just with the position. I love these twists and like subtle rotations because we do so much in life that's so forward and backward. That's good. All right, lift yourself up. Okay, we're gonna do a bit of a cat-cow. Did we do cat-cow last time?
I don't think so.
No, we didn't. Okay, cool. We're gonna do two versions of it. So, you don't need to be near a wall, but if you're near a wall, you get a little extra bonus. But you can by all means do this without having anything near the wall. So I'm in a tabletop position. So let's just imagine the bones of the spine first. Okay, so don't worry about moving your upper body. So we could tuck the tail under and then lift the sit bones up to the sky. So you're twerking. So you can tuck the tail under, lift the sit bones up. Maybe you've got movement, maybe it's very, very subtle. Okay, if you have your feet against the wall, when you go from sit bones up to tucking the tail, you're gonna try to pull up on the feet with the feet to use the hamstrings to tuck. And then relax and lift the sit bones. Okay, so hamstrings, pull the sit bones down. And then relax and lift the sit bones. So now we're gonna add in the upper body as well. So when I pull up with the feet and tuck the tail, I'm gonna press down through my hands, pull the belly button in, and tuck my chin. Just let my head reach towards the floor. Okay, so I'm a big Halloween scared cat. So feet pulling up if you want to add that piece in. So see if you can breathe and stretch your back. So breathe into your back. And breathe out, imagine your front ribs knitting in towards your spine. So we're holding this scared cat position. Okay, do 3 breaths there. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Now relax the feet, lift the sit bones. Drop the belly button down and slowly start to push through your hands and reach the breastbone forward and look forward. So I'm in the opposite position. And I want you to think of rotating your triceps towards your body. So wrap them towards to aim towards your thighs. Instead of shrugging the shoulders, wrap them back. Okay, so 3 breaths here. You're going to notice it's going to go a little bit more in the front chest. Good. We're going to link those two by linking the breath, and we're going to do it one way for 3 breaths and then the other way for 3 breaths. So we're going to start by tucking the tail, so pull up on the wall, rounding the spine, scared cat, breathe in. And then exhale, lift the sit bones, reach the breastbone forward. Okay, doing it again. Pull up with the feet. Inhale, tucking the tail, belly button in, chin tuck, scared cat. Exhale, relax, reach the sit bones up, reach the chest forward, triceps to your body. One more time. Breathing in. And breathing out. Okay, hold the chest forward spot. So that's your exhale. Take a breath in here and reverse it. Exhale when you tuck the tail. Bring the belly button in, push away the floor and round the spine. Inhale when you lift the sit bone, drop the belly button and reach the chest forward. Good. Exhale, tuck the tail, round the spine. Inhale, lift the sit bones, breastbone forward. One more time. Exhale, tuck the tail, scared cat. Inhale. For whatever reason, this is a cow. Good. Okay, sitting back on your heels. We're going to come back to the cat-cow, but the wrists start to get a little like, ooh, I just did a lot of stuff with flexion, right? And sometimes we get that when we're curling. So what I'm going to have you do is we're going to do what I call a knuckle push-up. Okay, so I'm going to connect my first two knuckles. If anybody knows anything about fighting, like if you were to get in a fight, you would punch with the first two knuckles because it keeps your wrist neutral. Whereas if you went into those side knuckles, that would bend the wrist. Like, I can't even do it, like this versus this. So first two knuckles are going to connect. Don't worry about the other ones. We're going to put the back of the wrist down. Some people like to take a watch off. Okay, and I'm going to push down through the backs of the wrists to try to lift my elbows up and start to straighten my elbows. So some people are going to get kind of stuck and have to lower down right away. That's fine. If you can push. As long as you can keep your knuckles together, you can straighten your arms as much as possible. Okay, and then lower down slowly. So you're lifting as high as you can go and lower down slowly. And it's really just your journey. So 5 to 10. This is very intense down the fascial line, the back of the wrists. If you very rarely put yourself in extension, then that might be a little intense for you. Okay, so pick the number and the height that feels good for you. Okay. Good? Awesome. Okay, the next one, just so that we give some love to the front of the hands, I like to think of this as like calf raises for the fingers. So you can do this off of a wall. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing you could do off of a wall, but I'm going to set up in a tabletop position. I'm going to aim this down just to mention I feel like it's just too high. There we go. Okay, so getting in a tabletop position, think of it like a calf raise. I'm going to press through the knuckles to lift my palm on the left and lower, and then lift my palm on the right and lower. So again, you could do this against a wall or on a table. So lift and lower. It's going to give you a stretch through the front of the hand. And if you've got the strength and control, you could be lifting and lowering both sides at a time. Looking for about 10. But it's not just lift and drop. It's lift and lower nice and slowly. Really working on hand strength, even though you're getting a stretch. There. Very good. Probably one of the weirdest things I'll make you do. I'm just going to grab some water. When we're done that, we're going to come back to the very first cat-cow we did, where we just tilted the pelvis. Hold on, we got some last minute. Okay, and I'm going to use a yoga block. You could use a pillow, okay? You could do this from your typical pigeon pose. So your typical pigeon pose has you in this position here, okay? So I have people think of it if they went side to side with their feet, brought their feet left, and then kind of brought themselves back so it's crossing over. But what we're going to do is we're going to raise that thigh up, okay, just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of keep myself in a more upright position. The goal of this isn't to get down into a stretch because we're going to do those tiny little twerks at the hip. Okay, so this leg has a bend in it. Okay, I'm in a tiny little pigeon pose. Let me show you from the side here. Okay, and one of the things to make sure we keep the knee safe is that your toe gets flexed to your shin. It turns that muscle on. Okay, so coming back to this angle so it's easier to see, we're gonna hold this, and you can just hold it and enjoy the stretch, or we can actually tuck the tail and lift just the sit bone here, so not the upper body, but notice if it feels different when you lift the sit bones or tuck the tail. Lift the sit bones or tuck the tail. So for me, when I tuck the tail, I feel lots of gripping in here. And when I lift and release the sit bones up, I feel those tissues getting a stretch and a release. Okay, so I know that when I'm doing my delivery, I know how to relax those tissues. Okay, we're gonna do the other side, just a couple on each. Okay. So again, I'm not like exaggerating. Like we don't need to be way down here. We need to be up a little higher so we can actually move the pelvis. So lifting and lowering, and it might feel a little different. Like for me, lifting the sit bone's not as intense on the left side as it was in the right. And kind of tucking under, I feel a little bit more. It's almost like I do more of the tucking under on the right, which I think is accurate, and more of the dumping forward already on the left. Yeah, good. So an arbitrary number of those. Good job. Okay. Let's go back to those fist push-ups to get a stretch down the back of the wrist. 5 to 10. So first 2 knuckles connect. You could, of course, I forgot to mention this, do this off a wall. Okay, or off a table, an elevated surface. Okay, so back of the knuckles down. I'm pressing up and lowering slowly. You're looking for a nice active stretch. That's what I think of it as. Right down the back of the wrists. Good. Okay, and then if you'd like one more set of the hand raises, the heel palm of the hand raises. So 10 lifting and lowering single, or working on lifting and lowering down with double. We're going to move towards the feet next. So I'll just watch for when we're ready to move on. This one might be helpful to have a towel or a pillow, especially if you're a hockey player or a skater. Okay, so you have just a rolled up towel. So the first one we're gonna do, we start in a tabletop, okay, and we're gonna go knees hip bone distance apart, and I wanna tuck my toes under and slowly sit my hips back towards my heels. So if this is too intense, sitting on a block or a pillow is gonna give you a little extra space in the knee. It's also gonna raise you up and make it a little less intense on the toes. Okay, pillow, block, something that might help. Okay, and just kind of reach down and invite maybe your baby toe to get tucked under. Ideally, what we're feeling is like your feet have those balls of the feet. We're getting the balls of the feet to touch. We're not just stretching the toes. Okay, so this is where we start. If you need a break at any point, you can lift yourself up and lower yourself back down. We're gonna take our hands behind our back and interlace our fingers. So wedge them right up into the webbing and then press the palms together. So I've wedged the webbing together and I've pressed the palms, and I'm going to squeeze really, really hard. And then when you take a big breath in, you're going to find that's going to go into the front of your chest. Okay, so again, at any point you can kind of lift up the hips and lower back down.
Okay, from here, so you're pinching the fingers, pressing the palms together. We're gonna breathe 5 times. Okay, when you inhale without moving your head, you're gonna look up as high as you can. Without moving your head, when you exhale, you're gonna look down as far as you can. So working on those peripherals. So inhale, look up. Exhale, look down. So about 5 times, pinch the fingers, press the palm. At your own pace, whatever your breathing is. And once you've done your 5, you're going to blink your eyes forward, release the palms, release the fingers, roll the shoulders out. And then to come out of this, lean forward and just slowly start to tap your toes so that you can start to point them. Okay, not many people think of the need for toes flexibility when they're curling, but we need it for optimal brushing when you're running after the rock and when you're kicking out of the hack. Okay, so the next one, we're going to stretch the front of the shin. So I'm going to bring my knees and my feet together. And then I'm going to, again, sit back down onto my heels. This is going to stretch the front of my shin. So as I said, hockey players, people who have really stiff ankles, you're going to take a towel under the crease of your ankle. Okay, you might need a bigger towel than what I've got here to kind of take some pressure off that ankle, and or sit on a pillow to kind of take some pressure off your knees. So your choice of how you need to modify that if you need to. Okay, we're looking for a stretch along the front fascia. So feet, knees together. Imagine you've got like a grape between your thighs and kind of give them a little squeeze. So you can hang out here. All we're looking for is a stretch that's a 5 out of a 10. So if you found that 5 out of 10, then you don't need to go any further. If you haven't hit it yet, because I've got really flexible ankles too, you're going to reach your hands back. Okay, you could palm the floor or up on your fingertips. And I'm going to lift the chest. Okay, if you found the 5 out of 10, you stay here. And if you need more, you're going to squish the grape, press through the fronts of the feet, and lift the knees up. And again, everybody's going to have totally different ankle ranges of motion, squeezing the thighs together, pressing the feet into the floor, and breathing up into the chest. You can come out of this one when you need to. Okay, lowering those knees, walking yourself forward, same thing, coming forward and kind of tapping out the feet. Okay. Awesome. What did we do in our last one? I've got a little list here, but I need to. Let's do that split stance rock and reach here because I want to get into the ankle a bit. Okay, so my knee has been not happy with kneeling on this ground all day. Okay, so right leg forward. We're going to do that split stance rock and reach again. Okay, what we're going to do this time though, the first time, okay, is I'm going to sit back a little bit more or lean forward. So basically I need to get into a position where I can grab my shin. Okay, so you can sit back for this or lean forward. You're probably going to want to lean forward. What I'm going to do is I want to feel what I call my talons. The heel bone, the ball of big toe, the ball of baby toe. It's our tripod. Okay, we've got arches connecting each of those. We want to keep those in contact with the ground. Excuse me. Okay, so we want to connect those talons, grab our shin, and I want you to think about, grab the shin and keep the weight heavy in the heel. We're going to push the shin forward and actually imagine turning the shin bone inwards. And if you don't know what I mean, and you just rock forward and backwards, you're perfectly fine. Okay? I want you to feel the weight. If you can put more of your weight into the heel, and then more of the weight into the outside of the heel, and see if when you push and turn the shin forward, you can put more of your weight onto the inside of the heel. And again, if you're like, wow, that's complicated, no idea what you're talking about, don't worry, shift forwards and backwards. So I'm trying to keep my weight in my heel bone. Okay, I'm going from the outside of the heel to the inside of the heel. And I'm not certain if you can, I think you can kind of see it, but I'm tilting the shin forward and getting what's called pronation. So I'll show you from the side. So that arch is flattening and widening, and then it's lifting. Okay, I'm trying to keep that weight through the heel. Okay, so don't worry if you didn't get that. We got the shin moving. That's what I want you to bring with you into the next bit. So if you put your hands on your hips and steer those hips left and right, just like we did last week. Again, I'm going to go from the outside of the heel. When I push this shin, the knee forward, it's going to tilt the shin forward. Feel the inside of the heel. Pull back, feel the outside. Press forward, feel the inside. And again, we're thinking of layers in this. I'm turning the hips right. I'm turning the hips left. Okay, we don't need to worry too much if the extra little pieces don't land today. It's okay. Hey, adding in the arm. When I turn my hips right, reach the left hand forward. We just found lots of space on this side. Hey, when I tip that shin forward, reach the right hand forward, drive the left elbow back. Okay. So a couple more times and see if you can find one point to look at so that your rib cage rotates underneath your head. So a couple more. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm turning the shin forward, turning it inwards when I push the shin forward, and I'm pulling it back. I'm going forwards and back. So see how that I'm rocking the tibia forward and backwards, and I'm rotating it in. Okay, maintaining contact with the heel, ball the big toe, and ball the baby toe. Okay, and then we start to feel, can I feel the weight a little bit more on the outside of the heel? And when I turn, can I feel a little bit more weight on the inside of the heel? Outside of the heel, inside. Outside, inside. Okay, so then we put our hands on our hips. We're turning the hips left and right. And we're accomplishing the same thing. When I turn my hips right, that shifts the shin forward. When I turn the hips left, it pulls the shin back. We want to see and feel that movement. Okay, and then when you turn the hips left, right hand forward. When you turn the hips right, left hand forward. Okay, so we're again looking forward, letting the gaze find one point and letting your rib cage and your hips rotate underneath it. Awesome. So there is a connection between what's happening in the heel and the arches, the shin, the knee, the hips, and the ribs. Okay, so we can have issues up the chain or issues down the chain. Kind of cool. Okay, grab a little sip of water and we're going to do a couple more stretches. Just checking what we did last time. Okay, good. Good. All right. Yeah, because we need time for that. Okay, so some of you might have seen this exercise before. It's called 90-90. Okay, we're going to start with what I call 45-45. Okay, so let's say we bring the outside of the left thigh to the ground and the inside of the right leg to the ground. And then we connected the left foot and the right thigh. And then brought the right heel towards your butt. Okay, now that same rule from the first pigeon pose is needed. Okay, so we take our shin and bring our big toe towards our shin to turn those muscles on. Okay, so I'm gonna lean right back. Okay, so whatever feels natural to you. And I want this foot to push actively into this leg. And I want this leg and this hip to push against it. So there's opposing forces here, and that's gonna lift my hip up and aim it to the left. Okay, so left foot and right thigh are pushing into each other, and I'm pressing down into the ground. So we're looking for, on this right side, a stretch the front of the right hip here. Okay, plus we're leaning back, so maybe a little chest stretch. So left foot, right thigh. Use the right glute to push that hip forward. Okay, and I'm just going to show you from this angle, because if you need more stretch, okay, you're going to lift the hips up. So left foot and right thigh are active, right glute pushes the hips to the left, and then we're pressing into the ground to lift. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So if you're stuck at all, you can use your hands to help swing those legs around. Okay, so outside of right leg, inside of left. Right foot pushes into the thigh. Left glute is pushing this thigh into that foot. So they're pressing into each other, and we're leaning back. And you might get a different stretch on different sides. For me, this side is way more intense of a stretch than the other side. I don't really get anything on the other side. Okay, so push the hips forward, press the foot into the shin, into the thigh. And then if you like, press the shins into the ground to lift the hips. So I'm trying to push that hip that way. Okay, that active right foot, left thigh. Okay, and then lower yourself down. We can use that left hand to help. Okay, so this next piece is gonna lead us towards the 90-90. You got your dog taking the long rip. There we go. Okay, so this is gonna lead us towards the 90-90. Okay, so you're gonna set up. I don't even know what you call this position, to be honest. So I could sit on my sit bones, but I want you to tuck under just a little bit, but not so much that like your low back is on the ground. So not enough that you're sitting up, but just a little bit of a tuck. Okay, we're gonna lean back on your hands and widen the legs just as far that you can keep your knee and your heel in line. So we don't want to be in a position like out like this. Okay. From here, you're going to flex the toes, and then I want you to visualize. So we started kind of tucking the tail under. The heels are trying to pull you so that you sit upright. So now we are kind of sitting on our sit bones, but we started back here, and the heels pulled you forward so that you untucked the pelvis. Okay, so now we've got these muscles in the back of the legs working. Okay, and what we're going to do without lifting the hips is I'm going to turn, so keep pulling. I'm going to turn and internally rotate this thigh, so keep pulling, and then externally rotate this thigh, internally rotate the left, externally rotate the left, right internal. Okay, so I'm kind of doing like a delayed windshield wiper, keeping my hips on the ground. Okay, and getting that hamstring pull. You might feel a little pinchy in the hips. You don't want to pull too hard. You definitely want to be active. There we go. Okay, now you can stay here. You're like, this is the one for me. I like this position. Then stay here. If you'd like, you're going to continue to bring the legs to the left. Continue to bring both legs to the left, and then lift up the right hip. Now, what we're looking for, you might need to readjust, is 90 degrees at every angle. Okay, then try your best to kind of pull with the heels. We're going to lead with the right hip. Left knee follows. Same thing, lift the left hip up. So I'm lifting with this leg over to the other side. Okay, so I'm doing what's called a 90-90 transition. side to side. And when you get there, if you can, see if you can lift the heel up off the ground. It's gonna be tough. Okay. If you can get there, lift the heel up off the ground. Okay, and then the last one to make it tough, if we start in that original position and I reach my hands forward, can I keep my hands and shoulders forward as I get into 90-90 one way and 90-90 the other? So trying to keep that same view. I really struggle to lift and keep it.
Okay.
Okay, side to side. Just about one more each side here. Good job. Let's see what we got. We got ribs, we got a little butt, we got wrists and forearms. Let's do one for the neck, and then we're gonna do a little breathing exercise. So if you could be standing and kind of hold under a table, but I find a wall works. So I'm going to turn my palm towards the wall, and it doesn't have to touch. It could just be your fingertips. Anything to try to anchor the shoulder. Then I'm going to bring my opposite ear. So this is my right hand and my left ear. So I'm kind of pressing into the wall and bringing my left ear down. So I'm being stabilized by this shoulder. It's not like I'm turning and shrugging with it. Okay, so I'm going to feel that stretch through the side of the neck. Okay, maybe I look up a couple of inches, so raise the chin just a little bit. Maybe I bring it back down to where it was, and then I could bring that whole chin towards your clavicle, like you're trying to sniff your armpit. Apply a little pressure upward with that right hand and take a nice breath into the chest. Okay, relax your head back up. I'm gonna shake it out. So if I was standing, I could do this with a table. Okay, so I'm pressing upwards. In this case, my right ear to my shoulder. Okay, I could raise my chin just enough to get a little extra stretch to the front. Bring myself back to the middle, and then bring my chin towards my clavicle, my collarbone. Press up with that hand and a little big breath. Okay, and then raise that hand back up. We're gonna get ourselves set up in whatever a comfortable position is for you. So if that's on your back, if that's seated, like leaning against the wall, you could stand. I don't know if that'd be comfortable, but so find yourself a position that works for you. Hey, you could put your legs up the wall. You could put your legs up on a chair. Hey, so if you, as long as you don't have any cardiorespiratory issues, this should be fine for you. So you could raise your legs up, let them relax. This takes the pressure off your heart. Okay. You could be seated. Hey, yeah, I love raising my legs up. I think that's phenomenal. Okay, let's get ourselves into a comfy position. I'm going to walk you through a breathing exercise, but also an exercise in focusing and distraction control. So most people think that focusing has to do with being 100% focused all of the time, that is directed attention. That's important. However, we get distracted inevitably. Okay, like the shower just turned on, that distracted me. Okay, being really good at focusing is bringing yourself back. So directing and redirecting and directing and redirecting your attention. So that's what we're going to do in this breathing exercise. So you don't need to look at me. I'm just going to talk. Hopefully you can hear me. Pull us a little closer. Just bring your attention, slowly close your eyes if that feels right for you. You can keep them open as well. Okay, and you're just going to bring your attention into your breathing. And maybe start to pay attention to how that breath feels in the body. So is there a feeling of movement in the body somewhere? Is there a feeling of relaxation? Is there this urgency to breathe? Is there an emotion layered on top of the breathing? You can start to pay attention to the cadence of the breath. You can just decide if it's a fast or slow. Maybe it's slowing down. Maybe it's speeding up. Maybe you can direct that attention to the sound that it makes or the feeling that you get as it enters and leaves the nose. You can kind of feel the little nose hairs moving. So what I want you to do is pick one thing that lets you follow the breath in and the breath out. If you like, you can count the breaths. So an in breath would be an odd number, so 1. And an out breath would be an even, so 2. So you'd go in 3, out 4. And I'll just have you count your way up to 10. And if you get distracted, or when I purposely distract you, you're going to start back at 1 again. And just following the breath. And then I invite you to get distracted by something. It could be a sound, a thought, a feeling. And then think of it as redirecting your attention back to that breath. Really laser focus your attention back to that breath. Okay, we're going to do this 5 times. I want you to get distracted again. This is number 2. Sound, thought, feeling. There's an itch. You can't wait to itch it. Let it fully pull your attention away. And then bring your attention, redirect it back to the breath. Okay, get distracted again. It's number 3. And redirect your focus. Distract yourself again. Come back to the breath. And then the last one, let yourself get distracted just for a moment. Redirect that attention on the breathing. And then gently on your next exhale, just let go of any focus, any attention at all. And then slowly bring yourself back into your body. Maybe you feel the weight of your body, the feeling of your clothes on your skin, the temperature of the air. Yeah, if your legs are raised, lower them down to the floor. We're gonna get up slowly. Okay, maybe blink your eyes, kind of wiggle the body just a little bit. If you need to do a big stretch, you can. Good, yep, slowly bring yourself up into a seated position. And then to those that are catching the recording, thank you so much for showing up. And I'm going to send a little, of course, those who hear live as well, but I'm just saying I'm going to stop the recording and we can chat after. I have a little thank you that I'm sending out to Adriana and Katie. Just outlining if there's anything from Empower Performance that might be of help for you throughout the curling season. So just so you know what kind of resources there are out there, you have access to these recordings forever and ever until YouTube explodes. So if you want to repeat them, by all means. And yeah, hopefully we do something like this in the future, but thank you for your time and energy aside from that.